don't think it's right because they're exploiting my family. We invited you down here. We asked you to come here.
After months of chaos, accusations, and heartbreak, BJ's breaking point came on camera. In this emotional moment, she begs for forgiveness, but not. Everyone believes her tears are real. The Whitaker story, once a heartbreaking look into a family's struggles, has turned into a full-blown circus. It's no longer just about a small town or a viral video. It's become a saga of lies, loyalty, betrayal, and fame, and right in the center of it all stands BJ. For those who've been following, BJ is Larry's daughter, the one often caught between two worlds, the family that raised her, and the online community that now watches every move she makes. She's been called everything: a victim, a villain, a liar, even a thief, and in her latest on-camera confession, she claims she's been falsely accused, misunderstood, and abandoned. But before we get to her tearful apology, we need to understand how we got here. The tension began long before the cameras rolled. As Psychology Eats said in her commentary, no disrespect to the Whitakers, but we got a new clown that's been added to the circus. A statement hit the internet like wildfire. It wasn't just a reaction, it was a reflection of how many felt about the ongoing drama. What started as a look into a rural family's life spiraled into something darker, a cycle of exploitation, reaction videos, and strangers showing up uninvited. And then came Brian, a man who, according to Psychology Eats, drove 5 hours to visit Betty, BJ, and Larry at their home. He didn't come empty-handed. He came with a purpose. To hear their side, to show support, or maybe to get his own moment of internet fame. Apparently, there are quite a few Facebook fan pages, the commentator said, and some of these people are really die-hard Whitaker fans, fanatics, weirdos. Online supporters called it loyalty. Critics called it obsession. Either way, the Whitaker family became the latest internet fixation, a real-life soap opera where truth and manipulation blurred into one. And then came the video. BJ, sitting alongside her father Larry and Aunt Betty, appeared on camera to clear her name. Her voice trembling, eyes red from crying, she began to speak. "I've never hit my dad," she said softly. "I've never hit my Aunt Betty. I've never hit my Rain." For a moment, the internet went silent. Then confusion and skepticism. In the same breath, she admitted there was an incident. "Yeah, there was an incident that happened," she continued, "but I hit him on accident, 'cause I was trying to get the dog off of him." That single line divided the audience once again. Was she taking accountability or shifting blame? Still, BJ pressed on. Her words came in waves, sometimes defensive, sometimes emotional. "I was falsely accused for something I didn't do," she cried. "It just bothers me so bad." But then came the accusation that would fuel even more speculation. "BJ, this is not about you," said Psychology Eats, reacting to the footage, "but we do know you definitely stole money." That comment echoed across forums, Facebook groups, and YouTube comment sections. Theories grew. Screenshots surfaced. People claimed proof. Suddenly, BJ's tearful apology wasn't seen as redemption. It was treated like a performance. The camera cut to Larry. His face was weary, his tone heavy with emotion. "I just want them to come back home," he said quietly. "I miss them." Betty nodded, eyes distant. "I miss hearing Lorraine say, 'Mommy, Mommy,'" she murmured. "I miss hearing Timmy say, 'Lulu.'" It was a rare moment of silence, the kind that fills a room heavier than words ever could. For a brief moment, the family wasn't fighting or pointing fingers. They were grieving, not just for lost relatives, but for a time before the cameras, before the court cases, before the fame. BJ whispered, "We just want our family back together. It's not been the same." She looked away, her voice cracking. "I can hardly sleep at night. I thought I was going to sleep, but I don't. I just lay back in bed before I ever go to sleep. I just want them back home 'cause I miss her." It was the kind of pain that felt raw, the kind people either connected with or questioned. But while BJ and her family cried for peace, the internet wasn't convinced. Comments poured in, some supportive, Others brutally cold. She's just trying to save face. Those tears ain't real. Too little, too late. And yet, a few voices pushed back. Everyone's so quick to judge, one viewer wrote. She's clearly struggling. Maybe this is her way of asking for forgiveness. That's the complexity of the Whitaker story. No one knows what's real anymore. The lines between truth, performance, and pain are nearly invisible. BJ's tears could be a confession, or another act in a drama that's already gone too far. As the video went on, the tone shifted. Betty spoke about the court hearings, frustration rising in her voice. You had court yesterday, someone asked. No, Betty replied. The court is today. Whoever put that out there is wrong. Then came the paranoia, whispers about hidden cameras, secret recordings, even drones. Well, I'll tell you the truth, Betty said. I think they got a camera or something hidden. I told you, BJ responded. They had a camera. Don't worry about where we're at. It was bizarre, heartbreaking, and uncomfortable. The kind of scene that left viewers unsure whether to laugh or cry. The family's distrust of outsiders had grown. They spoke about people showing up, about state police being called, about fake court dates. And all the while, BJ tried to maintain her composure. In the end, her voice broke again. I miss them, she whispered. Larry nodded. I miss them too, Betty sighed. We all do. It was a fragile moment of unity. 3 people clinging to the remnants of family, trying to make sense of what's left. But as the video faded out, one question lingered louder than all the rest. Was this BJ's cry for forgiveness? Or just another plea for attention? The truth may depend on which side of the screen you're on. And as for the Whitaker family, the circus isn't leaving town anytime soon. Comment below. Do you think BJ's tears were genuine? Was this a real breakdown? Or just another act in the ongoing Whitaker drama? Let's talk about it. BJ's breakdown didn't stay quiet for long. Within hours, clips of her crying began circulating across social media, Facebook groups, reaction channels, Reddit threads. Everyone had an opinion. Some viewers saw a woman finally confronting her past. Others saw manipulation. It's the same story every time a viral personality breaks down. Half the audience sees pain, the other half sees performance. And for BJ, that divide cut deep. Her emotional appeal, the shaking voice, the trembling hands, the repeated words, I didn't do it, were replayed, remixed, and dissected frame by frame. One viewer wrote, she's crying because she got caught. That's not guilt, that's regret. Another countered, no, that's real pain. You can hear it in her voice. She misses them. Even creators who had once covered the Whitakers with sympathy began to turn critical. Channels that had previously avoided judgment were suddenly posting titles like BJ's fake tears, Whitaker family lies exposed, the real reason BJ's crying. But to truly understand why the internet reacted so strongly, we need to rewind, because this wasn't BJ's first public appearance, and certainly not her first time being accused. In earlier videos, BJ was portrayed as aggressive, controlling, and even jealous of the attention others in her family received. She was accused of keeping certain relatives away, of manipulating situations, and of benefiting financially from the chaos. Whether those claims were true or not didn't seem to matter once a narrative forms online. It spreads faster than truth ever could. So when BJ broke down in tears, asking for forgiveness, swearing she never hurt her father, begging for her family to come home, many people had already made up their minds. To them, it was too late. But in that same emotional clip, BJ's vulnerability seemed almost childlike. Her voice cracked as she spoke about her Uncle Ray, the one she said used to holler for her every morning. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I hear my Uncle Ray holler for me, she said. He'd come over every morning and make sure we was there. I miss hearing Lorraine say, Mommy, Mommy. I miss hearing Timmy say, Lulu, as those words played on screen. The chat filled with heart emojis, prayers, and even apologies. People who had once attacked her softened, but just as quickly, the empathy turned again. Where was all this emotion when she was stealing? Someone commented, Why is she crying now? Another asked, every tear she shed was judged. Every breath she took was analyzed. That's the paradox of viral infamy. You can't win, no matter what you say. The world will either doubt your sincerity or question your silence. Meanwhile, in the background of BJ's story, the family situation continued to spiral. There were new claims of secret court dates, whispers of hidden cameras, and rumors that people were spying on the family through drones. Well, I'll tell you the truth, Larry said in the video. I think they got a camera or something hidden. BJ quickly replied, I told you they had a camera. Don't worry about where we're at. To outsiders. It sounded paranoid, to those who'd been following the saga. It was just another twist in a long line of bizarre developments, and yet, there was something haunting about it. This small family, trapped in rural America, believing they were being watched. Because in a way, they were not by the government, not by Patrick, not by drones, but by millions of strangers on the internet. In the midst of all this, another name kept surfacing: Patrick, once a friend and filmmaker, now viewed as an enemy by some members of the family. Patrick knows, Larry muttered at one point. How'd he find out? They know how you find out everything that goes on down here. Betty chimed in. Well, I'll tell you the truth. I think they got a camera or something hidden. The irony wasn't lost on the viewers. The same family that once embraced public exposure was now consumed by the fear of it. They invited the world, and now the world wouldn't leave. BJ's apology, whether genuine or strategic, was an attempt to reclaim control, but the online community had already taken ownership of her story. Reaction channels paused her video mid-cry, zooming in on her face to debate whether the tears were real. Some creators mocked her trembling voice. Others defended her, calling for compassion. People don't understand trauma. One commenter said, when you've been through years of public humiliation, you break differently. Still, others weren't buying it. She's crying because the money stopped. That's not forgiveness. That's frustration. The digital court of public opinion had spoken, and BJ was once again on trial. But what most people missed was the shift happening in the family. Dynamic behind the scenes. Larry's voice, tired and soft, revealed something deeper. I took care of them since I was 12 years old, he said. People think I didn't, but I sure did. And I miss them. I want to come back home. He wasn't angry. He wasn't defensive. He was just broken. Betty echoed his pain. We just want our family back, she said. Because it's not been the same. It was one of those rare, unfiltered moments where everything else faded. The rumors, the money, the cameras, the chaos, and all that remained was grief. BJ looked down, tears spilling as she whispered, "We going to fight till the end to get them back." Her voice trembled. Yeah, I am. For the first time, there was unity, a sense that no matter how twisted the situation had become, they were all still bound by blood and loss. But if there's one thing the internet loves more than redemption, it's drama. Within hours of the video's release, headlines began to appear across YouTube. BJ's breakdown, real or fake? Betty exposes Patrick, hidden cameras and drones? The Whitaker circus continues. Creators jumped at the chance to capitalize on the chaos. Clips of BJ crying were looped endlessly. Even harmless phrases like "we just want our family back" were used as sound bites in reaction. Compilations. Every moment of pain became someone else's content. And that's the tragedy of it. All because whether BJ's tears were real or not, her breakdown was no longer hers to own. It belonged to the audience now, to the people watching, commenting, analyzing, and monetizing every second. The woman crying for forgiveness had become the subject of entertainment. Her apology had turned into a spectacle. Her suffering was now trending. But what no one expected was what came next. A new wave of creators, including smaller channels and Facebook live streamers, started showing up near the Whitakers' home. They weren't journalists. They weren't investigators. They were fans, or as some called them, fanatics. They claimed to be there to help. To bring awareness, to show love. But in reality, it just added fuel to an already burning fire. Videos surfaced of strangers knocking on the door, asking to meet the family. Filming from the street. The privacy the family longed for was now impossible. And through it all, BJ's voice echoed online, "We just want our family back together." It's not been the same. Her words were now being played over TikTok edits and reaction montages. A plea for forgiveness turned into a meme. The story had escaped their control. The world was watching, and BJ's breakdown was only the beginning. Because behind the scenes, something bigger was happening. A secret court hearing, a growing feud with former allies, and whispers that not everyone was telling the truth. The next part of this story would reveal who really stood behind BJ and who was pulling the strings. Comment below. Do you believe BJ truly wants forgiveness? Or is this just another chapter in the Whitaker family's public meltdown? Share your thoughts. Your comment might be featured in the next part. BJ's tears had barely dried before the next wave hit. The video that was meant to bring healing only brought more questions and more chaos. Across Facebook, posts began appearing with bold, dramatic headlines. BJ exposed again. Patrick's revenge. The truth behind BJ's breakdown. Screenshots, old clips, and private conversations were shared and reshared. Suddenly, everyone, from creators to casual viewers, claimed to know the real story behind BJ's emotional confession, and once again, the Whitaker family's private life was front-page gossip. But there was one name that kept coming up again and again: Patrick. If you've been following the saga, you already know that Patrick had once been closely associated with the family. He was seen as a supporter, a documentarian, and at one point a friend, but somewhere along the way, that relationship fractured. And now, in the aftermath of BJ's tearful plea, Patrick's name returned like a ghost from the past. "Patrick knows," Larry had said in that emotional video. "How do you find out?" "They know how you find out everything that goes on down here." At first, those words sounded harmless, but as viewers replayed the clip, a new rumor began to spread, one that would soon ignite another storm. The family believed Patrick had hidden cameras watching them. In the footage, Betty said quietly, "Well, I'll tell you the truth. I think they got a camera or something hidden." BJ jumped in immediately. "I told you they had a camera. Don't worry about where we're at." To the audience, it sounded surreal, a family convinced that they were being spied on, but to the Whitakers, it wasn't paranoia. It was fear. It's the price of exposure when you've been filmed, watched, edited, and discussed for years. The line between privacy and performance disappears. Soon, you start to feel like there's always a camera, even when there isn't, and yet, something about the way they spoke hinted that maybe they weren't entirely wrong. Online, speculation grew. Some claimed Patrick had installed hidden cameras years ago for documentary footage. Others accused BJ of using the rumor to turn the spotlight away from herself. And then, a few pointed out something chilling, that during earlier videos, the family had mentioned seeing a drone over their house. "He'd done anything before I ran over that drone," Larry said. "A drone. You get everything in the house right there." Was it paranoia? Or proof? Nobody could confirm what really happened, but the allegations alone were enough to reignite public outrage. One commenter wrote, "This is exploitation at its worst. How can anyone keep filming them?" Another fired back, "They invited the cameras in. They can't cry privacy now." And that's the painful truth of viral fame. You can't control the story once it leaves your hands. As all of this played out online, BJ's image began to shift again. For a brief moment after her breakdown, sympathy had started to grow. But now, with rumors swirling and old wounds reopened, the tide was turning against her once more. Screenshots from old Facebook posts began resurfacing. Posts where BJ allegedly clashed with family members and supporters. Clips of her arguing or laughing during serious moments were re-uploaded as proof that her breakdown was fake. Even her apology was dissected word by word. "She says she wants forgiveness," one viewer wrote, "but Listen closely. She never actually says, I'm sorry. She says, I didn't do it. That's not an apology. Others disagreed. She's not good with words. You can tell she's trying. That's real emotion. Once again, the internet split down the middle, empathy versus doubt, compassion versus criticism. Meanwhile, creators like Psychology Eats continued reacting to the growing chaos. She summed it up in one line. No disrespect to the Whitakers, but this has turned into a circus. That sentiment echoed across countless comment sections. The Whitaker saga, what once started as a story about a unique family from rural West Virginia, had transformed into something far more tragic. A never-ending digital spectacle. BJ's breakdown was no longer about forgiveness. It was about survival. Because for BJ, forgiveness wasn't just emotional, it was her last chance to rebuild her image before the internet completely turned against her. But then came a shocking moment, a clip from Betty and Larry that few had seen before. In it, Larry spoke softly, his words heavy with longing. I took care of them since I was 12 years old. People think I didn't, but I sure did. And I miss them. I want to come back home. Then Betty added, every night Lou hollers at me. I go there and see what's wrong with it. She wants me to cover her with a blanket. And Timmy hollers at me sometime too. It was heartbreaking. Two aging relatives, clinging to the ghosts of their family, missing the ones who'd left, blaming the ones who stayed. And right there in the frame sat BJ, her face red, her hands shaking. For once she didn't interrupt. She didn't argue. She just sat in silence, tears streaming down her face. Some viewers claimed that was the most authentic moment she'd ever shown. It wasn't the loud confession or the defensive speeches, it was the silence, the kind that only comes from guilt and grief colliding at once. She's hurting, one supporter commented. That's not fake. That's a daughter realizing everything fell apart. But others saw it differently. They said it wasn't guilt. It was fear, fear of losing control, fear of losing sympathy, fear of being the villain forever. The truth, as always, lived somewhere in between. As the online debates raged on, BJ's emotional clip spread even further, larger commentary. Channels picked it up. TikTok creators began using her crying audio as background for dramatic edits and memes. What was once a heartfelt confession had now become viral entertainment. One video caption read, when your family drama gets more views than your apology. The top comment under it, BJ's tears deserve an Oscar. Another, it's sad, but she did this to herself. The cruelty of internet fame is that even genuine pain gets mocked. When you cry online, people don't comfort you. They screenshot you, behind the scenes. BJ reportedly stayed off social media for several days, but it didn't last. Within a week, she was back, posting messages, defending herself, sharing updates about her father and aunt, and pushing back against the lies being told. Each post only stirred the pot more. Critics called her unstable. Supporters said she was brave. And then she did something unexpected. BJ thanked Creep Appalachia, a content creator known for covering the Whitaker story with empathy. I also want to throw a thank you out to Creep Appalachia for being Team Whitaker, she said. We appreciate that. My daddy really liked that post too, 'cause we don't have internet down here where we're at. It was a rare glimpse of gratitude, and it reminded viewers that beneath the arguments, the theories, and the noise, there were still people trying to connect, to heal. By this point, though, the situation had already reached a boiling point, the family started warning visitors to stay away. BJ's tone changed from sorrow to caution. If you come here and you're asked to leave and you don't leave, state police will be called, she said. That's what they informed us to do. Those words marked a turning point. What had begun as an emotional cry for forgiveness was now turning into a defensive plea for peace for the Whitakers. The fame that once felt like a lifeline had become a prison, and for BJ, the woman who just wanted her family back, the breakdown that was supposed to bring understanding had instead brought even more Isolation. By the end of the video, BJ's once tearful expression hardened. She looked exhausted. Her final words were quiet, almost whisper-like. "All right, y'all. Have a good night." Betty echoed her, "All right. Have a good night." Then Larry's tired voice followed. "You too?" Brian, and finally BJ's voice once more. "Thank you." Bree, "You're welcome." Betty. The camera faded, the porch went dark, and the world went silent. But that silence didn't last long, because in the world of the internet, silence is just the calm before the next storm. Comment below. Do you believe Patrick really had cameras hidden around the Whitakers' home? Or was it fear and confusion taking over? What do you think is truly behind BJ's tears? When the screen faded to black, BJ thought the noise might finally stop, that maybe, just maybe, the world would move on, but she was wrong. Instead, her tearful breakdown became the spark that reignited everything she had been trying to escape within hours. The video flooded YouTube's recommended feed. Clips of BJ crying, begging, and breaking down were posted and reposted under new titles. BJ's apology breakdown, Whitaker family exploited again. The tears that changed nothing. Her pain had become public property for every viewer who empathized with her. 10 more accused her of manipulation. Screenshots of her previous arguments surfaced again. Commentators began analyzing her tone, the pauses between her sentences, the placement of her hands, even the way her eyes moved. They said things like, "She looks up before she cries." That's fake emotion. Her voice shakes too perfectly. She's acting. Notice how she talks about being accused, not about feeling sorry. Once again, BJ wasn't seen as a person, she was a character in a digital soap opera. And the internet was her audience. But behind the scenes, something deeper was happening. As BJ's face continued circulating online, she began losing control of the story. New creators jumped on the trend, turning her family's pain into views. Fan pages turned into gossip hubs. Private messages between family members were leaked. The circus, as Psychology Eats had called it, was in full swing. Even those who had once stood behind BJ began distancing themselves. Some called her a liability. Others said she was making things worse. And through it all, BJ stayed mostly silent, posting vague quotes, defending her father and repeating one simple phrase, "We just want our family back." It was clear those words weren't just a message to the viewers, they were a plea to the people. She had lost, but forgiveness doesn't come easy, especially when millions are watching. The moment BJ asked for forgiveness, the internet demanded proof. People wanted confessions, receipts, evidence. They didn't want tears, they wanted closure. And in the court of public opinion, BJ couldn't win. If she cried, she was faking. If she stayed silent, she was hiding. If she defended herself, she was lying. She had become the villain in her own redemption arc. Meanwhile, family tensions continued to simmer. Larry and Betty, still reeling from the chaos, tried to keep their dignity, but the stress was visible. Larry, once soft-spoken and kind, began looking tired. Worn down, his eyes had the same sadness as before. But now there was something else there too, a quiet anger, not even at the public. At the situation. "People think they know what's going on," he said in one clip. "But they don't live here. They don't see what we see." That single line said more than hours of interviews ever could. For Larry, the attention wasn't fame anymore, it was a burden, and as his world grew smaller, BJ's world was collapsing around him. By the time another week passed, the emotional shockwave had reached every corner of social media. TikTok creators used BJ's crying audio in parody skits. Reaction channels began turning her apology into entertainment. One video, titled "BJ's Crying Compilation, the Movie," gained over 100,000 views in a single day. It was cruel. It was unnecessary. But that's what happens when pain goes viral, empathy fades, and mockery takes its place. BJ was no longer a daughter asking for forgiveness. She was the latest punchline in a long-running online feud. Still, There were flashes of humanity amidst the chaos. A few creators defended her, calling for people to back off and show empathy. Say what you want about BJ. One creator posted, but those tears looked real to me. We've all made mistakes. Nobody deserves to be crucified like this. Another added, she's clearly broken. People keep forgetting this is a family, not a show. But their voices were drowned out by the noise. The internet doesn't reward forgiveness. It rewards outrage. Then came something nobody expected. A live stream. BJ appeared on Facebook. Live late one night, sitting on that same familiar porch. Her face illuminated by the screen's glow. Her tone was calmer. Her words were slower. She spoke not to her haters, but to her father. Daddy, she said quietly, I know people say a lot of things about me, but I love you. I'm sorry for everything that's happened. I just want us to be a family again. Larry nodded. He didn't speak right away. He just looked at her. Then softly he said, I know you do. I know, for a brief moment. The cameras didn't matter. The audience didn't matter. The comments scrolling across the screen didn't matter. It was just a father and a daughter, broken, but still connected. That moment hit differently. Even critics who had been mocking her fell silent. For the first time, BJ wasn't crying for attention, she was crying for peace, and yet, within minutes, even that emotional livestream was downloaded, royploded, and One reaction channel posted it under the title, BJ's Emotional Apology, Real or Scripted? Because online, nothing is sacred. Days later, Psychology Eats uploaded another video addressing the aftermath. Her tone was reflective, almost sad. This whole thing's gotten out of control, she said. I wanted to cover this story because it was interesting. Now it just feels tragic. And she was right. What started as curiosity had turned into exploitation. A story meant to explore the human condition had become a cautionary tale about the cost of exposure. Meanwhile, whispers continued that BJ might face legal trouble, accusations of theft, fraud, and even family disputes were being discussed online. Most of it, however, was pure speculation, rumors with no proof, just fueled by gossip and clickbait. But the damage was already done. Reputation, once lost on the internet, rarely returns. In one of her final appearances, BJ spoke again, this time sounding defeated. I know people don't believe me, she said softly, but I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I just want to be forgiven. That's all. Her voice cracked mid-sentence. The tears came again. But this time they were quieter. No sobbing. No long explanations. Just a few quiet tears that fell, faster than she could wipe them away. She looked straight into the camera. People think they know who I am, she whispered, but they don't. And with that, she ended the stream. That clip spread like wildfire, but not because of drama, because it felt real. For once, the internet didn't laugh. They didn't mock her face or her voice. They listened. And in that fragile moment, the world saw BJ not as a villain, not as a liar, not as a manipulator, but as a woman crushed under the weight of her own story. A woman who made mistakes, a woman who wanted forgiveness. A woman who wanted to be loved again. It's easy to judge from a distance. It's easy to mock what you don't understand, but behind every headline, every clip, every tear, there's a person trying to hold on. BJ's story isn't about fame. It's about what happens when ordinary people are thrust into extraordinary attention, when family trauma becomes public property. When forgiveness becomes performance. And while the internet continues debating whether her tears were fake or real, one truth remains undeniable. BJ broke down not just on camera, but under the crushing weight of the world watching her. As the dust settles, one question lingers, not about BJ, but about us. How far will we go to watch someone fall apart before we realize we helped push them there? Comment below. Do you believe BJ truly found forgiveness from her family, from herself, or from the public? Or has the damage already gone too far? Let's talk about it. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to watch another video that might interest you.